Hello, welcome to Parenting Tips. Today we will be talking about alternatives to spanking. This information is part of the Nurturing Parenting curriculum. There are many opinions about spanking, and one of the reasons why spanking is not a good parenting technique is because in reality, spanking communicates to children that they did something wrong, but never teaches what to do or what is the right thing to do. It only teaches children what is not acceptable. There are many alternatives to spanking. Here are some alternatives parents can use to discipline their children. Loss of a privilege. A privilege is a right granted by a parent. Privileges are things such as watching TV, playing with a toy, or riding a bike. If a child misuses an object or misuses a privilege, they lose it for a while. Parents should take away a toy or a privilege only when the child misuses it. For example, throwing or breaking a toy or riding a bike out into the street. Grounding. When a child repeatedly misbehaves, such as repeatedly leaving the yard without permission, an appropriate punishment is being grounded to the yard or house. The child must learn that leaving the yard is not appropriate. If the child does not understand that the behavior was inappropriate, grounding will not work as a punishment. It is very important for children to know what is expected of them. Groundings should never be longer than 1 week. Instead, ground only for a day or two, then give children another chance to follow the rules. Parental disappointment. Parental disappointment is a simple statement that expresses the disappointment a parent has in a behavior the child has chosen to perform. The intent of parental disappointment is to build some caring and awareness in the child of the parent's disappointment. For example, son, I want you to know how disappointed I am that you chose to hit your brother. I hope that next time you are upset, you won't hit your brother and you will tell him not to take away your toys. If the behavior is recurring, a parent may also tell the child he or she either loses a privilege or has to take a timeout. Restitution. Restitution means there is a payback or logical consequence for a specific behavior. The goal of restitution is to make good of a wrong. If children choose to color on the walls, the payback is to clean the wall. If stealing is the problem, the restitution is to pay back the stolen money. In this picture, if you make a mess, you clean it up. Ignoring. Ignoring is a way parents communicate their disapproval of certain behaviors. By deliberately not paying attention in words or actions to undesirable behaviors whenever they occur. Not paying attention means absolutely no acknowledgement in any manner that the behavior is present. By paying attention to the undesirable behavior, parents are actually encouraging children to continue to perform the behavior. Parents should praise behaviors they want to increase and ignore the behaviors they want to decrease. Ignoring is most appropriate for annoying behaviors that are harmless. Examples of behaviors appropriate to ignore are the children making faces or noises, whining or throwing temper tantrums. Behaviors a parent should never ignore are behaviors that are harmful to the child or others, like hitting pets, hitting self, any behavior that increases the risk of physical harm to the child or other children, playing with matches, playing with electrical sockets, and any behavior that will cause damage to property, like writing on walls or graffiti. Verbal or physical redirection. This is a technique to help children learn to do good things. There are two types of redirection, verbal and physical. Verbal direction tells children what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Physical redirection moves children from dangerous activities and substitutes more appropriate activities. Verbal and physical redirection work best when used together. Timeout. Timeout is a temporary isolation of the child from others because they chose to act inappropriately. It is a technique that lets children know that when they choose to behave inappropriately, they have to be by themselves for a while, sitting quietly. Timeout space for a child should be boring and in a safe, well-lit area where the parent can see the child. Timeout should never be in a room alone, in a basement, or in a closet. A good rule of thumb is that children should sit in a timeout no more than 1 minute per each year of life. Parents can use a kitchen timer so they don't forget the child is in timeout. After timeout, parents should discuss the misbehavior with the child. Timeout should never be used with children under the age of 2 years. So as you saw, there are several alternatives to spanking. You decide which one is best depending on the situation. Thank you for watching Parenting Tips.